now. All right.
Hi, chat room.
Hello. We should be live. Hi, everyone. This is episode 249, and just note, not doing anything special for 250 because why would we? Unless someone has a great idea.
I'm gonna get you an idea by next week. It's gonna be outrageous. I don't know what
All
it
right.
is yet.
Okay. All right. Outrageous is good. All right. So this is the raw version of the show with all our flubs, etc., left intact. I'm reading this from what I put into the Google Hangout description of the video, which goes in YouTube. You can watch via, you probably already are. The finally heavily edited version is published as an MP3. Which is the way we started out doing this. Videos only since about episode 60 or so, which is a fair while now. Thank you to our good friend Hip, who badgered us into doing it, and we just never looked back at that point. Alright, so everyone's recording. I will be recording. Anything else we want to talk about before we go? Oh, I will just ask, chat room. Thank you for joining us, of course. And if you have any questions you'd like us to answer, could you address them to myself and Chill? I don't know if you can do two people or not. Can you do two people? Chill.
And of course the cat is now here since I have no door to block it.
Are you logged into the Twitch chat, Chill?
I can see it, if that's what you mean.
Okay. Yeah, when I do things, I'm
it.
not getting you, Chill.
I do have a question for the Starlight Digest. There's a really awesome long post about rating. Are you guys just going to read off the entire thing?
We were thinking about it, but that was one thing I was going to move into another show if we didn't have time.
It's
Why?
long, but it's really good.
It is, yeah. Yeah, hopefully we'll get to it and we'll just read through it. Did you have some alteration on that you were thinking of?
No, I just wanted to know if we were reading the whole thing. I was going to be like, do it, do it.
Oh, okay.
Maybe we can take turns.
Maybe, or maybe I'll just read it. We'll see. See how I'm feeling. Alright. I see no reason not to kick off. I have picked a winner. I was going to say, I have tweeted. I had it all ready to roll. Okay, we should be tweeting. Yep. Okay, I think we're ready. Let's do it.
Okay. Going in 5. Hi, and welcome to the OotiniCast, the podcast that is training a new generation of Jedi. This is episode 249, being recorded on Wednesday, February 24th, 2016. I'm your host, Chill, with our producer and co-host, Tio. Hi, Tio.
Hey, guys.
And our guests today are Jeremy and Swotarista. So, Jeremy, what you been up to?
Just the usual, just raiding and gearing. A couple of new people that we've joined some teams. Other than that, I made a post about 6 months ago on the forums regarding an improvement post for SWOR. And at that time, I did a review about 2 or 3 days ago. And before that, it was about 950 odd views. So I did a review just to see how they were going. It's a constructive post. It's not a doom and gloom post. It's actually got good things, bad things, and way ahead. Some of the things that I actually did implement, some things I didn't, which is fine. Like for instance, I was really hyping out for a legacy box that could sort of hold one item that I can transfer between all my tunes if I wanted to. For instance, like a token, like an E-piece or an implant that's sort of only really bound to that one particular tune, but if I needed on another one, I could transfer it across. That would be really good. The other thing is Conquest. They actually seemed to listen, and they actually got rid of the whole crafting bomb mechanism, and I thought they would deserve a big thank you. And they
only replaced it with GSF suicide bombing. It's okay.
Well,
That is the current thing.
Is it?
Hold on. Jeremy, your audio is apparently quite low. Can you boost your mic a little bit?
Sure, hang on a sec.
And mine's really loud. I just won't shout into the microphone. Okay.
Let's see levels. It's at 100% already.
Then there's nothing we can do.
Is it
No,
is it the mic that's on your headphones?
Yes.
Can you make it closer to your mouth?
Yeah.
Is that better, guys?
It helps, yes.
Yeah.
Alright. So, yeah, so I've been doing that. So, yeah, Conquest was fixed as far as craft bonding was concerned, so I thought that was really good of them. And also, the whole aspect of them becoming more communicative towards the community, being with their current system of the video blogs and also their Twitch channel, etc. I thought that's really good too, and they've made a big improvement there.
Yes.
I think that's worth definitely mentioned for that. So I just did that. That sort of leads me on to the next one. We're sort of with the rating community, we're like everyone else at the moment. We are dropping in numbers, so we had 2 remaining teams, a sort of an elite team and a semi-elite team in Ewok lists now.
And that was dropping down from your 7?
That
At the
was,
peak?
yes, yeah. So that was including the 3 US teams that we had, which, yeah, just unfortunately, it's now down to 1. So those 2 teams have combined.
What do you feel caused the decline in the teams? Is it just the state of the game, or just as time passes, people leave?
I think it's more the first one, but a little bit of the second one. So the fact that there's no new challenges, that we have to re-gear through the old ops, people are bored, people don't want to spend so much time gearing themselves to be at a level where they were beforehand as well. So the recent change where we can't slash stuck anymore to get as gear as fast as possible, because the 2 end raids, both Wishy and Ravagers, Riffy and Toss, are still quite challenging. So we're currently working on that Revan fight, which is still really challenging. And yeah, all the other fights, they're all pretty much done and complete. It's just those last 2 that we sort of need to get done. So with that, Sarlacc Squad is looking for 2 new members. A DPS, ranged is preferred, and a healer. And the reason why I say ranged is because of Revan. First floor and second floor fights, melee DPS isn't going to cut it in our current team, unfortunately. So if you have a ranged DPS and you want to go for those top end rating, please give me a shout out either on Twitter or through here, or on game on Harbinger. Look for Juresto and the details will be here. Other than that, I believe there was a little question at the end of the Christmas episode that you guys didn't quite get with our little message. Is that right?
I thought I did play it at some point.
You did play it, but you couldn't quite hear the ending part.
Ah, right, yes.
So we thought, like in all good Swore tradition, we thought we might put a little of a Kepis hint in there. So we said Kepis lives in the hope that Kepis returns in the year 2016.
All right.
So yeah.
Excellent. Well, excellent. So Teresa, how about your week?
I have the craziest story to talk about for my guild, but first I want to talk about what I've been doing for my guild.
Okay.
I am the crafting officer in my guild, and I've been trying to find a way to help our newer members who are very new to SATOR. They're very new to raiding, and a lot of them are very hesitant to get into things because for those of us who've been playing SATOR for a while and gotten into the new operations, we know that gear is not a factor. The story modes are bolstered and they're super easy. As long as you have at least 1 or 2 people who know what they're doing, you can just hop in without too much of a worry. But I want to find a way to make sure they felt more comfortable, because they know they don't have the best rotation, they know they don't have the best eye for mechanics yet. So I want to get them at least one solid thing they could count on. And with the patch update in early February, we got the new types of crafted gear you could make. There's new 208 gear, which is a step before what you can get with commendations, but it's a lot better than stuff you would have picked up along the way. And we set up this whole project for our crafting department where we've got assistants that are crafting the sets of gear for people by request, and we've crafted at least 20 sets of beginner gear for level 65s. I wanted to let people know that this is really a thing you can do. You buy the initial schematics from the vendor. I think you have to be level like 520 to 540 for your crafting skills for synth weavers and armor mech, I think. And you can craft really good beginner gear for going into operations. And even if you're not part of a guild, you can do this by yourself. And it's just really nice to have in the game again, because before you really couldn't craft anything worthwhile unless you were already doing a lot of raiding.
Yes.
And here's my really crazy story that happened. So my guild is fairly public. You can find out lots about it online and stuff. And so there was a while ago, about 2 or 3 months ago, where there was a string of guild thefts going on in our server right when we moved over to our server, and the person was saying, "Oh, I'm so-and-so from your guild, and can I have an invite? Thanks." And what they were doing was they were going to the websites and they were looking up who the names of the people were, and they were saying, "Oh, I'm just an alt of so-and-so." And then they'd get an invite, and they'd clear out the guild bank because they'd have permission as that person. And so I've been very, very scared and skeptical of that happening to our guild. And somebody on Coruscant started whispering a guildmate and saying, "Hey, can you invite me to your guild? I need to deposit a bunch of stuff in your guild bank." And I was like, "Oh, I can't believe this is happening. This is so, like, such an obvious ploy. Hey, I'll put, like, a bunch of stuff in your guild bank. Just give me access." And I wasn't upset because I knew no one in our guild would be silly enough to fall for that. And I said, "Well, wait a second. If this is actually somebody trying to scam us, I should invite them and make sure they don't have any permission, just to, like, waste their time and, like, tell them silly things like, 'Oh, I need the password. Oh, I can't do it. Hang on. Oh, wait. Oh, no. Just a second.'" Just as much as I possibly could. And there was something in the back of my mind that was saying, "Wait, hold on. Be nice to this person. Take them at face value for as long as you can." So I had my guild leader set all their permissions to no withdrawal, only deposit. And this person ended up coming to our flagship, and they were actually leaving the game, and they donated like thousands of materials and like a couple million credits. And I was like, whoa, I was so impressed. And all my guildmates were there hanging out in the flagship to see what was going on, and it was the craziest thing. I couldn't possibly believe that someone was actually doing something nice.
Such a rare feat to have someone do that.
Oh, ye of little faith.
So people listening, don't use that tactic to get in people's guild banks to steal their stuff, okay? Now that I've said it. And for my personal projects, what I've been working on lately is the videos for the Academy. And for the next video that's coming out, it's about the one we did last week about classes. And I got to go watch the old class videos, and they are so good. Like, there's one for the Trooper, for the Inquisitor. There's one for each of them, and they're so epic. And I highly recommend people go back and watch them. I think if you just Google, like, Jedi Knight or Imperial Agent, they come up right away, and they just made me want to play the game all over again. And what I did was I created a warrior, and I was trying to play how they played in the videos, where they're all zoomed in and all nameplates off and everything. And I ended up just running into walls a lot, and I couldn't see what I was doing.
Yeah, that's a rough way to play. I briefly flirted with like first person just for fun, but holy cow, that's hard to do it that way. All right, Tio, how about your week?
Firstly, let me just check my volume. Yep, it's okay. Alright, my week. I actually played a fair bit. Now, firstly, I actually managed to waste my time pretty comprehensively. I checked out the craftables because I wanted to make myself a main hand for my Sork. And I saw, oh look, there's a purple lightsaber, and it's 216, the same as you will get from story mode. Operations. Alright, I'll craft one of those. Great. What do I need? Oh, I need that purple mat that you only get from doing your personal conquest goals. So, well, that's one of the places you can get it from. So that's what I decided to do. So I did, I did all the heroic missions on Balmorra and Ilum. Our guild had invaded Ilum, which didn't really help with the Balmorra missions, but still you get conquest points from that. I killed 250 NPCs on Balmorra and Ilum for the points.
Wow.
That particular, my Sork isn't a crafter. In retrospect, I should have done it on someone who was a crafter, because I couldn't just make the war supplies, etc., so I had to miss that. I did the False Emperor in a tactical, just with a group. That was the only actual group finder stuff I did and
Okay.
that was a bit awkward because I died maybe 3 or 4 times because it was a tactical, none of us were healers. I drew a lot of fire, and then someone finally pointed out, you do have force barrier, right? I thought, oh, hell. Yes, they were correct. And with the bastion, etc., that you get from it, it's actually quite powerful if you're being targeted. So it's not just useful in PvP. But anyway, so I did all that. I got my conquest objective, got the purple mat, went back to my artifice crafter and realised that particular lightsaber, there's only one of them that's 216, and that was the tank one. So I've been wasting my time. But I've still got the purple mat, which I can then use for something else, maybe just making the lightsaber for my tank. So anyway, I made 212, I believe, the main hand and offhand. They were blue 212s. So, and I also crafted the relics. Now, as Demerzel85 pointed out in our chat just now, the relics still require arms tech components, even though it's made by Artifice. So that's kind of weird, but I've got an arms tech as well, so I just crafted a bunch of those things and stuck them in my legacy bank, and all was good. Now, aside from all that, I did unlock the last 3 star fortresses, which I believe were Hoth, Voss, and Bel Savis. Got all those done. Did the weekly, which requires either 6 regular star fortresses or 3 star fortresses on heroic. And yeah, I got on, I think, the 6th run through the Eternal Empire Recon Walker. Apparently that drops off the X-Arch, and it's just one of the Walker mounts. It's actually extremely cool. I will include a screenshot
Very nice.
of it. Yep. And the sound it makes when it walks is that clanking. It's just
So, what
fantastic.
exactly do you have to do to get this super cool walker mount?
Run star fortresses a lot, apparently.
Just
It's a
completely
reasonably
random
rare
choice?
drop. Yep, it's a drop. So just keep on doing them. I don't know if it is a higher chance in heroic or not. I was certainly doing it on heroic, but I haven't been doing the regulars. So yeah, no, it's awesome. So very happy with that. That was a nice surprise. And I did want to mention what happens when you die in a star fortress, as one can do if one isn't careful. There's this actual kind of mini quest game thing where you're actually locked in a cell and have to go through a series of steps to actually escape, which it's happened in several of them now, 2 or 3 of them where I actually died. It seemed to be only the first time that you die that you have to go through this. If you die again, then you just spawn normally. But yeah, you're locked in a cell. You have to break out of the cell.
Huh.
Yeah, it's really
I
cool.
haven't seen that, and I died in Star Fortresses a lot.
Maybe it's only on the heroic version. Have you been doing the heroic, Jill?
Yeah, I died in the heroic, that's for sure.
I think
Okay.
it might only be in the solo version, which is kind of hard to die in.
Is that where you got to pay the jailer as well, or can you pay a fee to get out?
No, you do have to play through the mission. Is it really that hard? Maybe my gear really was a bit crap at that time.
I only remember dying once in them. I haven't died since.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah, I've got to admit, subsequent runs were very straightforward, and taking down the X-Arch is now really easy. But my gear is getting better. Each time you finish a Star Fortress, you get a piece at 208. And, yeah, so it's actually quite easy. I also realised I had a whole bunch of whatever the middle crystals are, and I could actually buy 2 or 3 pieces of 216. So I threw that on as well, and, yeah, he's actually getting reasonably well geared now. So, yep, that was kind of cool.
According to Dolphy, solo mode. So if you die, like you did, you'll be sent to jail and you need to break out.
Yeah, if you're doing the 4-man heroic modes, they figure you're down to business. No time for silly games.
Exactly.
Indeed. Imagine if you had to wait for someone to break out. Well,
That'd be so annoying.
exactly right. Anyway, that's pretty much my week. How about you, Chell?
All right, well, that is a slick looking mount. Very nicely done. All right, first a shout out to the chat room. Ari's here, Ben B55, Bill646, Blaze here, Bo Daddy, Darksplat, Darth Brundlefly, Dekyon, Demerzel85, Dreadx is here, Far's here, Gas Guy, the Codex Man is here, Likoi, I guess I don't know how you pronounce that, Jessica, KM UFC 77, Loken Zaro, Merlin Palace, Siskayetka, Super Subs, Swoter Economics is here, Swoterista is here, Let's see. Tommy McD28, Ewan, Weirlock, Zamzam is here, Xblade068, and Yam Swotor. Hello, everyone. All right. I did stream the Utini race on Saturday. It's up on YouTube, and I have a link in the show notes. And that was a ton of fun, actually. We did 2 different races. There was a Hoth race and then an Alderaan race. Hoth was done as a giant loop, starting near the main Republic base. And then Alderaan was a race from the Star port out to meet Dread, way up in the northeast part of the map. And I think I liked Hoth a little bit better because there's a lot of lead changes. Everyone was, of course, moving at the same speed, so it really came down to thinking ahead and a little bit of luck with knockoffs and strategy and all that good stuff. And congratulations to Tio, who was the big winner. He correctly found the most correct way to turn north and head back towards the base. Everyone else, including me, swung way too far west to do it.
I completely forgot to mention that. Yes, the Utini race was awfully good fun, and I thought you guys were behind me to start, but then I got knocked off when we did the turn in the Starship Graveyard. But yes, as you pointed out.
Yes, and also
I don't know why you guys took the scenic route, but anyway.
I don't know, and I don't know why you took the scenic route in the graveyard, because I turned west correctly, and everyone else, and you were in the lead at that point.
I turned west correctly versus turning the not west.
Yeah, so
I just kept going south.
But yeah, then I screwed up. I did not realize that I think I was too paranoid about the fact that we weren't supposed to take the interim north-south roads, and so I kept thinking, okay, how much further before the last road, and then I missed it. So, all right, so that was fun. You were the big winner, and I ended up 4th, and yeah, it was just a lot of fun. Alderaan was fun too, but it had fewer lead changes. It was a little more straightforward. Fiona took first, and she had some nice, just sort of basic corner cutting, and just found some nice ways to sort of get ahead, and stayed ahead for most of the race, except for the very beginning. And I was behind her for most of it. She took first, I took second. That's kind of how it went. That was fun too, but because of the lead changes, Hoth was just a little more exciting. So thank you, Dread, for putting that together. And next time is going to be the Datacron run, right?
The OotiniCron this Saturday, yes. And Dread has picked out 2 Datacrons for people to attempt to get. Whoever gets there first, I believe, will be the winner, and at least one of them will be the Endurance Datacron on Makeb.
Makeb, yes.
Yeah. That gives us all nightmares.
That's a serious one for sure.
Oh, yeah.
All right, and then on Sunday I leveled my Harley Quinn character some more. She's now done with Belsavis. That's a lot of fun. She's getting further dark side, so her look keeps changing, which is kind of fun to see, and see whether I should have it turned off or turned on, or how dark side should she be while still looking like a Harley Quinn character. So it's a lot of fun. But but I think the Utini race was really kind of the highlight for my week. That will bring us to the tip of the week, and we've got 7 tips this week. I'll start us off with one from Javadoggy. Javadoggy writes, I completed the gathering portion of the Dr. Loken mission during the Rakghoul Plague outbreak, but missed the scanning portion in the tunnels, so I had to wait for it to come around again. When it did, for some reason, I had to go back on Alderaan to see him. To my surprise, he wanted me to do the gathering portion again. Well, that's just Banthapoodoo, I thought. I went back to my stronghold, grabbed all the right stuff, and then went back to the doctor again. Upon doing so, the mission fixed itself. He gave me the scanning portion of the mission, and I could go on to finish and get him as a companion. So if you're faced with a problem, try popping out to your stronghold and back again before you drop hard-earned credits, gathering up medical supplies again.
I thought there was a known issue with that, where it seemed that he wouldn't count what you'd already done, but if you actually did then try to talk to him, he would.
There was some mess going on.
Yeah, I thought they had fixed that, but clearly not. Alright, our next tip is from Geront from the Ashen Order Guild on Beggarin Colony. Are any of you mount collectors? If so, maybe you should take advantage of this tip before the podcast goes live. There's a mount that was data mined back in Game Update 2.4 as a common, that is bronze, cartel market mount called the Icus Firestarter, but it was never used. Instead, they modified the back of it and renamed it the Icus Flamethrower, putting it in the game in Game Update 2.5. BioWare left the original Icus Firestarter in the game's code, and that's where this tip comes into play. The Grand Chance Cubes have a very low chance of dropping the Icus Firestarter, and since they're only bronze quality, a lot of people who get it will list it for so few credits, most collectors would be unlikely to notice it. He got his for 200,000 credits. If you buy it before the word gets out, you'll have an ultra-rare mount to show off. Beware though, the mount does not unlock in collections, since it wasn't meant to be obtainable. Wow, how obscure is that?
I don't even know how you'd know about that to start with unless you were going through the list. And speaking of keeping track of your mounts, someone posted a really cool tool about collecting mounts. It's sator-ultras.com, and it is a place where you can track all of your mounts. And it has them all listed, and you can just check marks the ones you have and track the ones you don't.
What's
Very
that
nice.
site?
I will put it in the chat box.
Thank you. Excellent. Thank you.
Very cool. All right. And
Keep going.
okay, so I'll read I'll read the next one. Next tip is from Jessic on the Ebon Hawk. Companion gift missions in the crew skill investigation currently take approximately half the time that the corresponding missions in other crew skills take. For example, level 20 companion time for grade 5 companion gift mission is 4 minutes and 56 seconds in investigation, but 9 minutes and 39 seconds in diplomacy, and the other two. I'm not sure if this was intentional on BioWare's part, but it is true on all levels of companion gift missions, and BioWare has been mentioning trying to balance the crew skills somewhat, so it might be an intentional incentive to take the investigative crew skill, as it has been least favored until now.
There you go. So diplomacy, treasure hunting, and underworld trading were the ones where it's actually twice as long as investigation. Investigation does tend to be the one no one wants because it creates the what is it? Research compound? Research compounds, which are used for arms tech and pretty much nothing else. So yeah. All right. Our next tip is from Dr. Naturalist from the Rebellion and Utini Rage guilds. That's our own on the Harbinger. I just found out about the awesome legacy title you can achieve with the new HK55. It requires 2 people, and I believe you can only do it when someone is training their HK55. You enter their instance with them, and when they are training their HK55, have him shoot and kill you. It should grant the achievement and legacy title Simulated Meatbag.
Oh, wow.
And there is a Dolphy guide for that.
Very cool.
And he says, hope it works for you, and added a PS. I can now confirm that the Simulated Meatbag achievement is granted, and special shout out to our own Dread and Ignacio from our own guild, but you might also want to try to get the thorough assessment by having HK target 8 objects, 1 fire tank, 1 toxic gas tank, 1 lab equipment, 1 munitions box, 1 art deco, yourself, HK himself, and these 7 are in the area outside the windowed simulation area, and the speeder in the simulation area. The Dolphy guide that he gave us previously also walks you through this achievement. So, wow, how did people discover this stuff? That's incredible. So, yeah, a couple of hidden achievements that are worth getting, and I'll link to that in our show post as well, the Dolphy guide. So, thank you, Dr. Naturalist.
Very nice. All right, 5th tip is from Garen of the Remnants of Hope Guild on the Ebon Hawk.
That sounds familiar.
Yep. Companion gift missions in the crew skill. Wait a minute.
Is that the same one?
It is the same one.
All right. Sorry.
What happened?
I don't know. So
It's okay. Just blame my guildmate.
All right, Chill. Could you read Kaz?
The other one.
Yep.
Kaz, yes. Yep. Next one is from Kaz. Pronounced Cars.
The H is silent. Kaz. Yeah.
So I discovered this tip quite by accident tonight, Tuesday, and I thought I'd let you know. The Jawa Peddler crew skill trade vendor that switches mats from Tier 8 to Tier 9 will work if you have resources in your cargo hold, not the legacy storage. I don't remember if it was mentioned before, but I thought I heard you guys say that it had to be in your inventory, but it can be in both, which is pretty awesome. The only problem is if you don't know how many you have in the cargo hold, then it can be a lot of clicking. Hope this helps. Keep up the good work with your awesome show. Can't wait to hear the next episode. May the Force serve you well. Cars. Come to the dark side. We have cookies.
So we hear. I don't believe you. It's a trap. And we did actually talk about this, and I believe I said I tried it, having the mats. I think I had them in my legacy bank on my cargo hold, hence why it didn't work. But I also liked putting them all together, taking them there. I could see exactly how many there were. I could shift click and just type in the number, because you can type in a number up to 9,999 now just to do that and do the purchase in a single click. So yeah, that worked kind of nicely. All right, our last tip is from Ignacio of our own Utini Knights on the Harbinger. And he says, howdy all, thanks to guildmate Dread, he has created a monster, a galactic starfighter monster. He's gotten me absolutely hooked on it. I really struggled at first with my mouse and trying to fly around. That's where my tip comes in. If you use an MMO mouse, like a Razer Naga Epic or such, they have multiple options for customization. One of these options is called DPI, or dots per inch, which in layman terms is how sensitive your mouse is when moving across the screen. Well, you can imagine how in a GSF, having a steady hand to shoot the imps out of the sky can really matter. Default was much higher on the DPI setting, but by fine-tuning the DPI, you can find a setting that works for you and can give you the much-needed advantage in GSF match. Good luck and good hunting. Very cool.
Very nice.
Yeah.
All right, by a random allotment, the winner is Garen. Congratulations, you're the winner of a Tonfon or M83R droid pet code, courtesy of BioWare, and a new OotiniCast-provided Cartel Market Pack from the latest shipment. And if you'd like a chance to win the same, please send your tips to OotiniCast@gmail.com by next Tuesday. And that will bring us to the Holo feed. Tio?
A reasonable amount of news this week. So let's quickly run through it. Firstly, on Tuesday, they had some server-side only maintenance, just 2 hours of downtime. No problems with that as far as I have heard. Everything seems to be working normally, and they literally didn't change anything that we could see, so it was all back-end stuff.
Right.
So, as far as we know, we are on track for the release of Chapter 11 on March 10th.
So what do we reckon it was? Hardware? More hard drives? Extra CPU? Just anything?
Additional hamsters?
Additional hamsters. With back-end maintenance, who knows? They could just be cleaning out the database. There is literally no way to tell. Though, I don't know if we should mention this. Yeah, if you've been paying attention to what the data miners are going on about, and we may talk about this next week. I usually don't like to talk about this stuff until it's a little more official. There's all kinds of things happening in the background, potentially. Really big deal stuff. So as far as affecting servers and the like. So who knows? Could be some stuff leading up to that.
Possibly better than cross-server, but we don't know exactly what yet.
Yeah.
Or if it's even happening.
In summary, mega servers with per instance, well, you can basically choose whether you're in PvP mode or not PvP mode. So you can all be on the same server, whichever instance you enter for a particular world, you can choose whether you're in the PvP one or the PvE one. So you don't need the separate servers, separate rule sets. There'll probably be an East Coast, West Coast, and one server for each European language. This seems to be where they're going. This is the better than crossover. So, exciting stuff. But we don't know anything. It's all been data mined and is thus unofficial. And who knows when this will happen as well.
Without actually talking about specific Star Wars stuff, is that how the WoW mechanic of it works for PvP? Is that how they do it? Just out of interest, do we know?
Well, it's sort of. I believe there's various ways you could do it behind the covers. You do need to have a shared database where all your characters are in one, essentially. You just need to maintain the identity of those players so you don't have name clashes, but they do have big data centers. But they also make sure that you can actually group with people on East Coast and West Coast. So they could probably go to the next step and join the East Coast and West Coast data center. It just means whatever instance you end up in could be on either coast. So in theory, you could get a lot more lag if you live on the West Coast and you end up in an East Coast instance. So presumably they won't do that. They'll keep the data centers separate, but who knows? Yeah. Yeah, there were always the battle groups, as Bill said, 646 said in chat. Alright, yeah, so none of this is official for the show. This is just in the YouTube version. Because we can't really talk about this. Okay, moving on. So, Andrew, Squirtle Economics, who was on the show last week, was actually correct about them under-promising and hopefully over-delivering when we were talking about the operation of Flashpoint bugs with the bosses who appear to turn in the client, or don't turn in the client, but are turning on the server, and so things get really confusing as none of the effects are actually turning with them.
Right.
And they said last week in a post that they would get this fixed by game update 4.3, which is in April. Is that right? Yep, in April. But they posted again that Eric was saying that they said 4.3 because that would give them a buffer of time to make, test, and implement the changes. Actually do the implement, then test, typically. But anyway. But he did say that they're actually quite hopeful they can make these changes for Game Update 4.2 in April. So even though it's a massive amount of time, they're going to try and get it done quicker, but they just can't promise that because it's not guaranteed yet.
Okay.
So he was right. They are attempting to under-promise and over-deliver, which would be fantastic.
With Rishi, the Ravagers one, with Master Blaster, it's just a matter of you still see the telegraph, just knowing that the telegraph's still going to come towards you, but the animation is just going to be straight at the electrified fence. That's all there is for Master Blaster. Everything else is all fine in the Rishi one, and DP last night was okay. There was nothing outlandish.
Dread Palace was really funny. On the very last bosses, there's a group of Dread Masters that you fight, and at one point one of the Dread Masters shoots a bolt of lightning towards the wall, and you have to move out of the way from it, except you can't see where it actually is, and it's in a random location where people are supposed to be standing, so all the DPS are like, la-di-da-di-da, oh my gosh, what? Just standing there being zapped by lightning and nothing's happening.
Best here is Ghost, yeah? That's I think that's it, yeah.
Ouch. So anyway, maybe April, but possibly March. So
I thought it was a lot worse than it was, like when I was first reading about it.
Right.
As someone from an experienced raid group, it's nothing.
Okay. Yeah, it does sound fairly dire, but as you say, if you know what you're doing.
Yeah, it just makes, I suppose, when you're pugging with someone or with a group of people,
yeah.
just make sure you explain it really well what's going to happen.
Or don't pug, if you possibly can avoid it. Alright, now the Valentine's Day special rewards, the 1,050 Kato coins, and that friend referral code that lets them play Chapter 1 if they're not already subscribed or don't have it unlocked already, and get access to that Insta60 for the duration of the free trial. Those emails have been sent, and a few people apparently have not got them. They are checking up on it, but a lot of people have got them but have kind of lost them because they're in your spam folder, and the email in which it arrived looked like what they usually send out at the beginning of a chapter, and it's the titles of the emails, according to Musco, were Chapter 10 and Firebrander here, play now. That's the one that I personally got. And the other one is A Familiar Face Joins Your Team, play Chapter 10 now. So both the email could have both those titles. When you look at them, they just look like the usual stuff. Like Chapter 11, Disavowed is coming soon, find out more. But right at the bottom, you'll find your personalized a gift of 1,050 Kato coins to spend in the Kato market, and something for your friend, codes, right at the bottom. So if you've deleted it by mistake, they're gone. But if you haven't found it yet, it probably did get sent. They're confirming it has, but it could be in your spam folder.
Mine was deleted and removed from trash automatically, so it's gone.
No.
It didn't look like anything. It just looked like their normal thing. It said just play Chapter 10 now. Well, I've been playing Chapter 10 for weeks, so I didn't even really look at it. It was on my phone anyway. I just deleted it.
this email arrived, and I saw it. I tend not to delete these things because... Anyway, and I actually saw on Reddit that someone said, "Oh yeah, the title of the email in which the code arrived was this." I look back and there it is, right at the bottom. So I suspect a lot of people will just miss out.
I think the reason they did that was because every time you send out a mass email, usually it costs you money, especially if you're using an outside service, and they just save themselves one.
Anyway.
That is annoying, isn't it?
Yeah.
I
mean, it'd be nice if it mentioned the code, in the title, early on in the title. So
you'd think people would be more likely to open it, like, plus free level 60 token code.
How about,
Woo!
Here's your code?
Yeah.
Or, very frustrating. Whatever.
All right, and we did have a tweet from Kevin Wilkerson who said, "Mine told me it was consumed already. Anyone else experiencing that?" So his codes appear to have already been used. So something could have screwed up there. So if that happened, contact customer service. And Chill, as possible, you could probably contact them as well if you want the code. Or if
Who
you just
do I
ask
contact,
Eric.
though? I tried contacting Eric. He didn't email me back.
Okay. I don't know.
I don't know.
All right, let's move on. So, story live streams. So I was looking forward a little bit. Not really. I don't like them that much. But anyway, this month's story live stream, last month's with Alexander Freed and Charles Boyd. But apparently they posted today. Well, they posted today and said, not going to do those anymore. That they're going to stick
forward to the YouTube ones that they're going to make instead.
Yeah, so that's not so bad. So what they actually said was the producer live streams, which are the second Thursday each month. We've had 2 so far with Ben Irving and Eric Musco. Those have been good. They will keep doing those. However, the story live stream is simply not working in the live stream format. When you guys come to a live stream, you're typically there for a few things: a dialogue with us, answers to some of your questions/concerns, announcements around content, etc. The focus on sharing story insights just didn't work in an interactive format on Twitch. And so instead, as Sweaterist just said, they are going to work on a video log, a vlog format, which will provide similar insights in a video format posted on YouTube. So that doesn't sound too bad. And the story vlog will also include gameplay footage and some first looks into the next chapter.
I think this is a step in the right direction for that particular way they were doing it. I think Ben's format is awesome, the way he does it, and for that particular content, I think this content needs to be just purely video. Let's show the people what they want to hear.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. They're not going to be able to answer questions really, and there's only so many questions you can sort of ask about the stories anyway. So
most of the answers are we can't tell you yet. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. It kind of harkens back to some of the story videos and so on that they were doing sort of leading up to launch, so kind of makes sense.
Oh yeah, if they go back to the kind of stuff they did before launch, I'd be so excited. Like I was talking about, those class trailers are so cool, and you can go back and watch trailers about like the early flashpoints and operations, and they're like, so epic.
The EV operation video, that is actually quite good as well. I really like that. That really drew me into, hey, I want to play this MMO. This looks good.
Hello, Max from the Sweet Water Skate podcast. Just popped into chat. But about that, as far as doing anything like it was at launch, I mean, that'd be fantastic. But as you said, Jeremy, in your post about having the class stories again, these things are just hideously expensive to make. It's a lot of work. Just look at how much every month we're getting, like 1 hour of story content. Imagine if they had to produce 4 or 8 times that. So it would just take 8 times longer for the same amount.
Right.
Yeah, I understand that point, but understand, I spend $220 on this game a year. It's Australian money. I need to find that I'm getting value, because I'm an investor. I invest my money and I invest my time in this game. So we need to try and come up with some sort of balance. That's why I try and make these posts, at least to say they get some sort of view, and with others, and not just a whole, hey, should we be doing this, should we be doing that, and just be constructive, this is good, this is bad, how about this, how about that. So, yeah, I understand the point about the cost. I also was a little peeved about going to the classic core screenshot stuff, the video stuff, how we actually don't talk back to the... I was actually a little bit peeved with that.
For the Alliance stuff, yeah.
Yeah, I thought that, hang on, I'm a sub, I've paid for this, I think we deserve to actually have the fuel or the voice acting together, because that's what's the big draw card, voice acting in the stories, so that's my own personal view. It works, but I think they should keep on going.
Now, speaking of that, as I was unlocking each of the Star Fortresses, I noticed that an awful lot of those conversations that you had with the NPC leading up to it, as part of taking out the shield generator for the Star Fortress, they're all speaking alien languages, which are particularly easy because you don't need voice actors for those.
What do you mean you don't need voice actors for those? There's somebody saying "Hoomba changa longang chenganga."
That's big.
Once. It's all sampled, and then they can just recreate it as often as they like. Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway. Alright, so moving on. In other Star Wars news, firstly, just wanted to mention some group called Team Negative One have found themselves a 35mm film version of Star Wars A New Hope. It's a kind of odd story. I will link to one of the articles that talked about it. It is the original version of Star Wars as released in 1977. These are incredibly hard to get because, as you know, we've got the revisioned versions that George Lucas did. I mean, several incarnations of them over time, and those are pretty much the only ones you can get officially now. But yes, this is the original. Of course, it's not official, and you'd have to obtain it from places on the internet. In some of the darker corners, you'd have to look. But yes, it is the original. It doesn't even call it A New Hope because the original Star Wars was just Star Wars. I did watch the beginning of it. It's very cool. But still, actually, because it's a film version, it's a bit crap in terms of viewing it. But yeah, it's still pretty epic. In its rough way, it still looks really good.
There is also another version where they've done the community's done an enhanced version of the original as well, I believe.
Yep. I think we've talked about that maybe, but yes, yeah, I know the one you mean. So cool. And also in other Star Wars news, I did want to mention this game called a Piron game. It is a reboot of Knights of the Old Republic, the original BioWare game. They are going to rebuild it completely, apparently using, I believe it's the Unreal 3 engine. And they're taking all the assets and completely developing them, or redeveloping the assets. They had some comparisons. It looks really, really good. Of course, it's going to be completely free because they don't own the intellectual property, and it would just get really messy. So once they're done, they will release it. You'll be able to play Knights of the Old Republic, and it will look amazing.
Are they redoing the entire game, including all the combat and stuff, or are they just redoing the graphics?
The implication was they're doing everything. It will be a complete game.
That's a lot of work.
Yep, they're a dedicated group of programmers, artists, voice actors, world builders, and writers. Wow. So, yep, they've got all the talent. If they got all that talent, they should probably make an original game. But
Knights of the Republic 3!
That would be logical, wouldn't it? But, oh well. Maybe they'll start with this and then do something better, or take Knights of the Old Republic and make it better. Anyway. Alright, so let's move on to community news. Firstly, thanks to the following listeners for their iTunes reviews over the past month or so. Acid Tears, Socks Monkey Fusion, Scott, and Sephirade from the USA, and Matty J24, Zebedee 1979, Van Scottrick, and Resident Jason from the UK. Thank you very much for your 5-star reviews, and particularly to Scott, etc., for his quite in-depth review. So thank you guys. If you want to help out the show, that is certainly one way to do it, because that means people will find us, more likely to find us on iTunes, which apparently a lot of people still use since they have those Apple device thingies, as opposed to the more awesome Android phones.
Come on. Enough bashing.
Yep.
Enough bashing already, okay?
Yes. I went through an Apple store the other day anyway. And, geez, it's very fancy. Clearly they're making a lot of profit from those devices.
Absolutely.
Yeah, anyway. Also, now we already talked about the Utini Race, Dread's event in February. And there is one more in his range of Utini events. That is UtiniCron. We already talked about it. Just a reminder, it is happening this Saturday. So yes, get your platforming boots on, watch Kuzei's platforming video, and please join us if you're in the Utini Nights, and you're always welcome to join. And we may even do guests, we're not sure.
Yeah. Unfortunately, this Saturday I will not be able to stream it, so someone else will have to grab that baton.
I just realised we won't be here either, so yes. Anyway, okay, did I want to talk about something else? Also, going forward, there are some other guild events being planned. Dredd has some more events that he has in mind for the Empire side, Utini Rage, in March. And then Decion has some ideas for some more stuff that we're going to be doing in April. So it's all happening in Utini Nights and Utini Rage. And thanks again to Dredd Ivalon for making the prize pool that much sweeter, and for Dec for his ongoing support and ideas for future events. Well done, guys. Anyway, that's the news.
Okay. That'll bring us to the force feedback where we read out your tweets and emails.
You missed one.
Academy.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry.
You're going to hand over
down.
to Sweater and stuff.
Yes. Okay, and that will bring us to the Academy. And so, Teresa, what do you have for us this week?
This week, we're going to be talking about companions and how they're good for you and how to make them better. Companions are followers that follow you through the story, they help you in battle, and they help you craft. You gain them as you do your personal class storyline. Your first companion usually shows up on the second planet that you do, usually Coruscant for the Republic side, usually Dromund Kaas for the Imperial side. Each class has unique companions. You can speak to your companions as you progress through your story, on your ship, or in rest areas. As you speak to them, you gain influence, and they'll be more receptive to talking with you. Influence also makes them stronger in battle, and can allow you to solo fights you would have had to group up with before, if you had low influence with your companion. You can take on some really tough enemies if you have a high influence companion with you. In battle, they can act as tanks, healers, and companions. Previously in the game, before 4.0, companions had a very set role, but if you're coming back to the game now, they can play any role. At high level influence, they can keep you alive through almost anything. Influence also increases crafting. It makes them craft faster, as well as makes them more likely to get rare materials when they go gathering. You can increase influence through questing with them, but also through gathering gifts for them. You can buy gifts on the GTN, or they're rewarded through certain gathering skills. Each companion has a preference for gifts. Some gifts award far more influence than others, and some gifts they don't really like and won't award any influence at all. So go ahead and Google up online what type of gifts are good for your specific companion. After your storyline, a whole bunch of additional companions can be earned through Knights of the Fallen Empire quests, starting at Chapter 9. This is part of the Alliance, and they'll show up in an alerts panel. You can earn about 10 more companions, or even more if you've unlocked certain special ones. There's a very special companion called HK51 that you can only earn through questing, and this quest starts in Section X, it's for subscribers only, and you can pick it up at level 50. It's a whole long quest chain that includes some heroics and a very special ending, and you have to go searching all over the galaxy for pieces of this very special robot. He's the predecessor to the robot you see in the Knights of the Fallen Empire storyline, and he's got a lot of stuff to say, so pick him up, and he's similar to the robot that you see in Knights of the Old Republic, the old game that we all love. There's a few more companions that you can get, but you can only get these ones from the cartel market. They come out of the cartel packs as well. If you really want one of these, I suggest going on the GTN and looking for them. Don't try your chance at gambling with the packs. You're more likely to be able to afford them cheaper by just going straight on the GTN.
Cheaper being a relative term.
Yes, some of them are very, very expensive. I think on our server, the Warbot is 2 million, the Probe is 6 million, and the ActDog probably goes for definitely over 15 million credits.
Wow. So Wisha, do you also want to mention about the legacy 6% buffs as well that you can get with your companions? your faster crafting, faster influence, and faster physical conversations.
You know what? I did that before 4.0 changed them, and I'm not even sure what the requirements are to do them now. Do you have to reach a certain level of influence with them?
No, it's just basically you go to your legacy box and then you just buy them with credits. It just unlocks the extra 6% across the board and extra crafting as well. So it's on top of your influence level.
Oh, that's a good tip to add for the crafting, yeah.
Yeah. So, for instance, you might have a companion that might be level 20, but with the crafting boost, it might actually be equivalent to level 15 as such. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Definitely worth investing into it if you have the credits, especially if you're crafting.
It's pretty cheap too. I think it's like 20,000, then 50,000, then 100,000. So pretty cheap.
Yeah, definitely worth it.
Yeah, it does cost a fortune to rank those guys up, but it does worth it if you are a serious crafter. But I'm looking at leveling my own Lana companion up on my Sork. Level 25 now, but geez, you have to get a lot of those gifts to get anywhere. Yeah.
Peace, I think, is the easiest one if you PvP, because it's 500 influence per match or win.
If you PvP.
If you PvP, he's the easiest one to do.
And could stand having him as an active companion. Yeah.
He doesn't say much at all. Doesn't say. And what he does say is like very short.
Sometimes that's actually better.
All right. Anything more on that, or shall we move on?
On to the next topic.
All right, then. That'll bring us to the Force Feedback, where we read out your tweets and emails. And we'll start with Joseph Brown.
I forgot to translate Joseph's into English. Well, it's true you do learn something new each day. I found out a good number of players are missing out on what you guys... Sorry, I'm just doing this live. Podcasters, streamers out there do, and the info about the game.
Shall I just start that one over?
Definitely. I'm just doing this live. He was waiting. He found out waiting for a 2-hour respawn.
Oh wow!
Must have been chatting with other players. All right, Shell.
Okay. All right. That'll bring us to the Force Feedback, where we read out your tweets and emails. And we'll start with Joseph Brown, who writes, well, it's true you do learn something new each day. I found out a good number of players are missing out on what you guys, podcasters and streamers out there, do, and the info about the game that you provide. And Joseph found out waiting for a 2-hour respawn.
Wow. He did. I actually tweeted something via OotiniCast just to remind people that a lot of people just don't know. It's surprising. They've never heard of us. So it wouldn't hurt, like mentioning in guild chat about your favourite podcasts or streamers or whatever. Just let them know that it's out there. They may be interested, but they just never come across it. Never even thought to look. So why not?
Okay, Patrick Johnson writes, can't guarantee it still happens, but my Insta60 Sentinel counted towards legendary status as soon as I finished Chapter 9.
I've heard that's hit and miss. For some it does count, for some it doesn't, in terms of considering your class story complete for a given class. But so it's not guaranteed, so don't just create an Insta60 just hoping for that.
Yeah. Sir Nobody wrote, I think you're wrong about an achievement getting added for raising crew skills to 550. There are still no achievements for getting crew skills up to 500, so I don't think it's an oversight that there isn't one for getting to 550, but rather a continuation of a trend, disappointing though that may be.
I did look into it, and he's right in that the last time we actually had an achievement for crafting was when we got up to 450. That was under the advanced crew skills, which was under your achievements, under legacy, in the achievement and the advancement section, and that granted the title Master Craftsman. And yep, they haven't done anything with the jump to 500 or for the more recent jump to 550.
Okay. Shiny wrote, I have heard great things about the show and listened for the first time to the February 18th installment. Very impressed. Thanks for putting in the energy you do to keeping a positive but critical community. First, I have a comment. You guys reminded me in your recent show about the planetary story arc on Coruscant. Most planetary arcs show up as purple triangles, but this one does not. Instead, it is the normal yellow triangle and can be picked up as you exit the spaceport. The planetary arc will seem to be completed shortly, but you need to pick it up again with a different NPC who should have a purple triangle near the area you completed the original. Second, I have a question. I am one of the guild leaders for our guild, and I recently suggested we do a pod race across Belsavis. I was trying to finalize the details of where to start and stop and so on, and then heard that you guys were doing the same thing. Could you give me some tips on organizing this, rules, and how you did it? No transporters, how does Tatooine compare to Belsavis, and any tips would be much appreciated. Thanks so much. Okay.
Well, I'll certainly put you in contact with Dredd if you want to ask specific questions, but the way that he ran ours was pretty cool. Just saying, this is the route you have to take, and these on the one on Alderaan, where you actually had to just find a particular location, just get there and find where he was waiting, and you just, here is the world map, make your way there. That was certainly a great way of doing it as well.
We've run one in our guild in the past before, and one of the biggest things we struggle with in the type where you have a certain path you have to follow on a specific endpoint was that for the racers themselves, they'll look like they'll have gotten first place, but on someone else's screen they'll look like they'll be dead last. You have to designate a very specific person to be the person who decides who's first and last, and you have to make sure everyone's aware so there's no hard feelings. What's going on is just the server lag and the visual differences.
Exactly, and I believe in our case, Dredd was, since he was organising and not participating, he was the arbiter. So whatever his screen showed him, his client showed him, was the actual winner. But yeah, excellent point.
You should also tell the person who's the organizer or the person deciding that they should film it.
That's a good point as well. Yeah, just stream it so that you can then later put it up, and then there's no doubt that the results are there.
Yeah. And one thing that did help is everyone was in an operations group so that Dredd could actually follow everyone on the map. He could see if anyone might have tried quick traveling or anything like that. And he also let everyone know ahead of time that if you die for any reason, that you'll have, if you end up accidentally corpse jumping to the next area, you'll have to quick travel to the area before where you died. Yeah. So that was sort of a rule in place. Yes, best not to die.
Of course, that was a bit of a problem since taking the South Road as Republic meant you were going through a lot of Empire territory, and I think we pretty much all got flagged. So, yes. And just a tip, that if you get flagged, remember you can always jump into the Galactic Starfighter tutorial and then just exit battle straight away and your flag will be cleared. So you don't have to wait the 5 minutes in a safe area.
I love that tip so much when I was in the Rakghoul tunnels. And to do it, just look near your little tiny map and look for the one that looks like a little ship. And in the top right, I believe it's the GSF tutorial, and you can exit out right away once you start it, and you won't be flagged anymore.
It's a bit sad, but it took me probably 20 or 30 seconds to remember how to actually fire up Galactic Starfighter. Yeah, it's been a while.
All right, Dekion wrote, I found this on Reddit today and thought others might like it too.
It's a collection of wallpapers, just images that someone has apparently created. They're quite simple. They're just the class symbols and the Empire and Republic symbols. That he's just done some really fancy Photoshop work, it looks like.
Yeah,
just made them look amazing, put some nice textures on the background, textured the actual icons themselves. They're really good. So
they're really nice looking, and this is on my Richard Still 002.
Yeah, it's good stuff. There's a Sith Empire one. There's
one for each
Hunter
class.
Mandalorian one. It's good stuff.
Yep, every single class, advanced class. Yeah, nice work.
All right, let me get back after looking at the nice pictures. Will wrote, question for the show. What are some of the best and fastest gifts for HK? I've heard that there are alternate ways to do it via Jawa Junk.
Well, I did consult the internet, and according to the internet, well, specifically Dolphy, Jedipedia, and Tor Community, they all have guides on this. And for HK55, from lowest to highest, he likes weapons and trophies. His favourites are technology and maintenance, but he loves military gear. Now, maintenance, I believe, is one of the new ones that were added with Game Update 4.0. Military gear's been there all along, as have weapons, trophies, and technology. But yes, if you want to maximize your return on investment, military gear is what will keep HK55 happy, which does kind of make sense.
Yes.
And that's with HK51 as well.
Right.
Okay, Tiadra wrote, this is Tiadra again. I wanted to write in to respond to the individual about all the things to do because it fails to understand where those of us are in the rating community. But let me kind of figure that one out and try it again. Tiadra wrote, this is Tiadra again. I wanted to write in to respond to the individual about who was commenting about all the things that there are in games to do because they fail to understand where those of us in the rating community are. We want new progression content. Killing world bosses isn't raiding. It isn't challenging to go kill something in an 8 or 16 man raid team when it only takes 2 to 3 people, and that's assuming you can find any that are up. And for people who have killed all those world bosses so many times, it just isn't fun. Decorating strongholds isn't group content, so I'm not sure why that is suggested as group content. And conquering planets isn't raid content either. Some of the objectives are, but not all of it. The raiding community isn't just looking to make old content fun again. It doesn't mean that there aren't people who do it, and that's great for them, but it doesn't excuse the fact that BioWare is ignoring a big portion of its player base in the raiding community. And that is borne out by the fact that they've chosen to leave operations and flashpoints bugged until sometime in April. That decision is just further irritating a part of the community that is already upset. And any new players who go into these ops and flashpoints and experience those bugs that make the content extremely difficult for them is going to turn away those future raiders from getting into that part of the game. Their decision leaves me perplexed. I know that bugs aren't always easy to fix, but make the decision to tell players that they aren't going to fix it until 4.3 only serve to inflame anger among the raiding community.
And did it ever? At least we've now heard that they may be doing it earlier in Game Update 4.2. But yes, at least at the moment, operations and flashpoints are not their priority. It's only too painfully clear.
Hence why we only have 1 raid team out of 7.
Right. It's certainly clear that they're happy to get the new players in on the subscriptions using the monthly content and so on. And unfortunately, just not enough operations players to re-weight their priorities at this point. It looks like.
And at this point, each of us have just got to accept that, and that is their strategy. And if you don't like it, move on. Or just go preferred. You can still play the game pretty successfully. If you're not doing operations or flashpoints anymore, you don't really need a subscription for the most part. Unless you're doing PvP a lot, of course. But vote with your wallet. Let them know.
I can't wait for the new maps. That's going to be awesome for PvP. Can't wait for them at all. It's going to be great.
Okay, Tiadra also wrote, this is Tiadra, and I had one more item for open discussion. Has anyone noticed that the Exarch Relic MK26 that they added recently and the Exarch Relic that you get from the actual token are almost identical in stats? An example is with the Focused Retribution Relic. With the crafted MK26 version, you get 175 endurance and 65 power as base stats, and then when it procs, you get 945 mastery for 6 seconds. With the relic from the operation, you get 177 endurance, so 2 more, 73 power, so that's 8 more, and 42 critical rating for the base stats, and when it procs, you gain the same 945 mastery for 6 seconds. I thought when the announced new crafting changes came that they said they are increasing the stats on the relic from operations, but it appears what they did is add the plus 42 crit rating to them. I think it's rather discouraging because it negates the work a lot of us do to get the 220 relic from operations, and some of us put in a lot of time and effort learning those relics only to have them devalued. I don't think schematics you can pick up from a vendor should be equal to best in slot 220 gear that you have to actually run an operation to get, and a plus 42 to crit rating isn't really enough to make it that much better than the crafted version. Serendipitous Assault is the same way, replacing mastery for power on the proc.
Wow. Yeah, I do recall they did say they were going to make the operations relics better, but that doesn't sound like that much better. Jeez. I would hope that's a mistake, but somehow I don't think it is. Yeah, that's a good point.
Okay.
I don't agree with his point for crit. Crit is still very important because now crit is also the old surge value, and
True.
having more crit is actually very good. For instance, with the new accuracy stim, you only need 2 enhancements and 2 augments for accuracy now. You can put whatever you want in the other stats. So you can have more alacrity, you can have more crit to boost up everything else. You only need those 2 enhancements and 2 augments for 220 gear. So, you know, it's there to play around with.
Yeah, and I'm not, at the high operations level right now, so I don't pretend to know how strong 42 crit rating is. It's certainly nothing I would turn down, though. I must say. And usually high-end operations people are kind of min-maxers anyway, so
True.
maybe clearly Jadra's not happy with that. So, all right, Vastrod from the Red Eclipse wrote, not really a Star Wars: The Old Republic game news, but SWTOR news anyway. Hasbro just released a preview of the new Darth Revan Black Series 6-inch action figure. And there's a link. I'm going to check it out real quick. Very nice. Ooh, pretty. Yeah. Alright. As far as I can tell, this is the second Old Republic / Legends merchandise release since Disney bought Lucasfilm in 2012. By the way, do you know if BioWare has any plans to do another collector's edition for future expansions? Or sell those SWTOR t-shirts in BioWareStore.com?
We don't know. For the first, I'd say chance of a future collector's edition is effectively 0. They just can't. SWTOR t-shirts, maybe. That's
They
definitely
had
more
them
possible.
when the game first came out, but they weren't the best quality and they weren't the best themed, and they didn't sell very well, so they pulled them.
There's certainly a lot lower effort than putting together what would be required for a collector's edition. So
Yeah, I doubt that will ever happen. I'm
Right.
sure more statues will come out over time. I mean, we have Revan, we have Malgus, we have one of Shay, I think, too, somewhere.
Yeah, and Vesrod also asked, do you miss not having any kind of SWTOR merchandise, novels, comics, and so on?
Well, yeah.
There's tons of comics,
Sort of.
isn't there? They're not new, but...
Yeah, it's just the Old Republic
Yeah, it
ones,
has been a while, right? I did enjoy the SWTOR novels and so on when they were coming out.
True.
But don't we also now have Kaishian? What's the
True
author's
Carpathian?
Yeah.
I'm saying his
he's-
name wrong, but that guy, he's working on the game now. He's
That's
not writing
right.
books.
That's
I'll
right.
take him in the game.
But, you know, he can also have some sort of side story, you know, also released with the future expansion if that's what he's working on.
Yeah, and I believe it's pronounced Carpathian, if I remember correctly from the audiobooks. So, yeah, and certainly, I mean, he was writing the novels, back when he was also with the SWTOR people. So maybe this is a way to, get him to write another novel eventually. That'd be cool.
It would be. Yep.
And Vesrod also mentions that the other release of Old Republic / Legends merchandise was Lego Revan in 2014.
And apparently that was an exclusive minifig that was available online or at the Lego store from May 3rd to 5th, 2014. He was a 2014 May the 4th Be With You Star Wars Day promotional minifigure.
I got
Wow.
him.
Cool. Oh, nice.
You got him, huh?
Yeah,
Nice.
I got him.
Where do you live? Just asking for a friend.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm looking at the picture of him. It's a fun one.
Yeah.
And you can tell it's Revan right away. They do a good job at Lego. They have that dialed in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Next email or tweet is from Brewdog. Story with MMO questing doesn't make good gaming. Story is only part of a good RPG. I need more than kill and click quests.
Well, yes. That's very, very true. Don't know what you can add to that, really. I mean, it's,
That's his opinion, for sure.
Yep.
What kind of quests have you guys done in the game that you thought were more than kill 20 of this and click these 5 blue glowing things? Which ones really stood out for you as not being that?
The ones where there were actual story aspects to it, believe it or not, such as some of the early ones at the Bounty Hunter, the ones that are morally challenging, shall we say. So it really was a story, the cutscene interactions, and sometimes what you have to do as well, which are usually kill quests, and you have to kill something inappropriate. So those are the ones that stood out for me, at least. MMO questing is fairly straightforward. There's only so many things: courier quests, kill quests, that kind of thing.
For me, I like some of the instance quests are really amazing. Some of the ones regarding macro binoculars, some of the ones for while you're getting the HK companion, and then like the end of the macro binocular and the secret droid type one, where's that long. You had to have multiple people, and you're jumping on the traffic on Coruscant and all that stuff. That was really cool.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites. Yeah, most definitely one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I found a lot of the time there's a train going by.
A lot of the time?
A lot of the time there's a train going by. A lot of the time I feel like the environment, the actual place that you are has a big difference in the way I feel about the quest. Like, you could be doing the same thing, go kill 20 guys, but if it's somewhere that looks really cool that I've never been before and looks really different from the rest of the game and has lots of little things to look at, I like it a lot more than if it's just in a dank corridor of Coruscant that has nothing on the walls that you're just running through. Like, the Star Fortress were really cool the first time around because it was something new, and then after that didn't want to do it again.
There's a startling amount of lack of variation in those. I thought they were supposed to be like all different every time you ran in, but they're all kind of the same.
And there's the glowy yellow Voss Spirit World mission.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that one's super cool, yeah. And you're just killing 20 boss spirit guys, but, you know, it's somewhere different.
It feels different.
Glowy and yellow.
Yeah, in the temple. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. Oh, sounds like our win.
Yes.
She's up. All right. Elion D. of the Epic Guild on the Shadowlands writes, from one OotiniCast fan to the rest, I humbly implore you to support OotiniCast through Patreon. If just a few more listeners gave $1 per episode, we could get the insert rewards here and help keep the cast we know and love flourishing.
Yes, I could have inserted some rewards there, but I thought it was funnier just to leave it as it was. So.
Yes. And he also writes, you can give more, of course, but $1 per episode is great, and will help let Tio and Chill know that even more how much we love the show. Plus, it's less than a cup of Starbucks. Love the show, guys. Keep up the great work. Thank you, LND.
Thank you, sir. And, yeah, be cool. But, again, only if you feel that you can. And if you can't support us through Patreon, just letting people know about the show is perfectly enough for us.
For anyone who's wondering, what is Patreon? It's a bit different than just like, hey, give us money. It's, you go to the Patreon and you give money per episode, so it's very tied to you actually getting new content in return for you giving $1 or whatever else. So it says, give X amount of dollars per episode when you sign up, so every time an episode comes out, you give $1. It's like paying to get to listen to it. It's kind of awesome. It's
a wonderful concept. The whole idea is to support creators who actually are creating, and so you pay for their creations. And you can also cap it at a certain monthly amount. So just say we produce like 100 shows one month.
That's what you're doing for the 250th episode!
Break it up into 5-minute episodes.
Right, 250 through 500 are coming out in the next week.
Yes. Yeah, so you can limit your contribution per monthly. So,
right.
Yeah, it's a great system. Yeah.
Ironically, it sounds a lot like what SWTOR is doing right now. They're basically say, I will pay you $15 a month. I'll pay you $15 a month for for content.
At least you know what you're getting, and it's not $15.
That's true.
And we had a question from Blacklock, our regular guest. My question is, what is the next Patreon milestone and reward? Will it be unprecedented? And then Andrew, Sweater Economics, said, are we even ready for this reward? Is the world ready? Harking back to a certain amount of promotion for some chapters upcoming and stuff. Anyway, let's not talk about that. To answer the question, the next milestone reward is taking all our tips of the week and putting them in an easily accessible database. I'm going to reset the amounts because Patreon has sort of changed the way it works. So to make that next milestone, getting the tips of the week, putting into that thing, a lot easier to get to. And then beyond that, I do have something else in mind, but we'll wait for the next one before we talk about that.
All right, and Dekion writes, can you guys discuss cartel market certificates? Are they still available, and is this something that's being phased out over time? I know several vendors still sell things for cartel market certificates.
Yeah, they've clearly dropped the whole rep thing associated with
the rep
packs.
one, yeah.
So yeah, I suspect they're gone. That's it. Does anyone know if these certificates turn up in the Grand Chance cubes? I have heard no mention of that, so I'm guessing not.
I've never seen anyone say they've gotten one. I assume we can only get them from the old packs now, which they haven't been selling lately.
Yeah.
Yep.
As Dex says, the vendors are still there, so these stuff will get more and more exclusive over time, unless they do bring them back.
I have a suspicion that they'll be bringing the older packs back less if they keep with the model of the Grand Chance Cube, because the reason to bring the old packs back was to bring the old items back, but if we don't need the old items anymore, then we don't need the packs.
Although the vendors that sold the items for cartel market certificates, some of those were available in the packs, but others were unique. I mean, you had to get them through
that's
those
true.
vendors.
Like the special golden versions of the armors.
Yeah.
Presumably you can still get the slot machine out of the Grand Chance Cube as well, and those do have a slight chance of producing a Grand Chance certificate, do they not?
That's
or
true.
cartel market certificate, yeah.
That's true. Yeah, and I actually used one of those when I was making the She-Hulk themed character. I wanted the one that looked like sort of the underwear when you take everything off, only it's dyeable. So it's not.
So it looks like shorts. Woohoo!
Yeah, exactly. So it looks like
shorts.
shorts and a tank top. So, yep. And it worked great, and it was only available through one particular cartel market vendor. So, yeah. All right. Jason Brown wrote, I think I may have the shortest Star Wars joke. Minox suck.
Yeah, Jason. Yeah, that's pretty short.
At least it's short.
Minox are, of course, those little beasties that were stuck on the Millennium Falcon when they were stuck inside the giant... What is that big worm? It has actually got a name, hasn't it? A giant space worm. Or
the
space
slug.
Yeah, that's right.
That's our original server.
Yeah. Memories. All right. Now, for our last email that we got, I was going to make it a Sarlacc Digest discussion topic, but it's really just an email. So what we're going to do is read it through and talk about it as we go. Okay. So this is from Ewan from Jedi Covenant. Someone asked about getting started in operations. That got him thinking about how his experience might help. He's an average to below average player with a very slow connection who survived and sometimes even thrived in a hardcore raiding guild. From this experience, he's got some tips to share that will improve your chances at success and decrease your stress. It isn't a complete list, and every single one doesn't have to be done. And he also wants to stress that he hasn't done much raiding in SWTOR, so this is more of a general guide to raiding. So what I'm going to do is just run through them reasonably quickly, because I don't want to take forever. And let's talk about each one as we go, if there's something to say. Number 1, turn on nameplates of everything, which I certainly did early on. That way you can quickly see things they are talking about and find other players or NPCs when needed. By default, like friendly nameplates are off, I believe, so you can't actually see the names of the people around you. NPCs could be off by default, I can't remember.
The friendly ones anyway, yeah.
Yeah, so turn all that on and it makes life a lot easier. Number 2, turn on focus target, target of target, and all cast bars. And you can do that via the UI editor and move stuff around and position it very nicely. This can help with off-healing when the tank is dying, or let a healer throw a group-saving interrupt. Now, either situation is a good thing, but having the ability to do this will impress your group and make them more understanding when you mess up. Almost inevitable. And SWTORista, the UI editor, would be a great future topic for the Academy.
I'm going to do a whole... I'm not sure if I'm going to talk about it on the show or not, because talking about a user interface which is entirely graphical seems a little silly, but I'm definitely making a video for all the things that you can turn on and off. It's awesome!
Yeah, you're right, a video would be great for that. Alright, number 3. Bind the button for acquire focus targets target to something easy to hit. Personally, I use middle mouse button. Then when DPSing, put focus target on a DPS that seems to know what he or she is doing and knows the fights. I would then just keep assisting him until told to do otherwise, hitting what he hits. Assisting will make you look like a pro in raiding and even PvP.
This is equivalent to go follow Bob, do what he does, except
If Bob
you can
shoots
actually
something,
see him.
shoot Bob. Yep.
Yep, no, that's a good tick.
And by
This is
pressing the button, you will
especially-
switch target to them.
This is especially important because a lot of the fights, there's multiple bosses on the arena at one time, and this boss can't be attacked at this time, it has a shield, and you have no idea when you're not supposed to attack it or not yet, but Bob knows. Follow Bob. He's switching at the right time, don't worry.
Number 4, very important, turn off auto target closest target. This should never be on when raiding, because you will accidentally click onto another target, hit it, and probably break CC or something terrible like that, or someone you really don't want to be hitting at this point in time, otherwise bad things happen, that kind of thing.
Yes, you need to be
I have
in
this on.
control. Yeah, you really need to turn it off. It's because if you kill an ad, then it will automatically target the next one, and if it happens to be the boss who's not supposed to be hit at that point, it can cause
So some
real
examples
issues.
where this is very specific. If you don't have this, it's not the worst thing in the world, but it's a good tip because there's some bosses that you need to, when you're doing the trash, they have a really nasty thing they do if they're not sleeping, and one of your raid members will make them lift them up in the air, make them fall asleep, confuse them, so they're out of the fight, and if you just go straight to the next one, accidentally pew-pew them, you'll wake them up. And there's also some bosses that have a deflective shield on them, and if you accidentally tab target to them, you'll end up shooting yourself.
There's also a flip side to this one is you turn this one off, but you turn on the cycle only within your screen, what you can actually see targets, and that's under combat as well. So you turn that one off, and you turn only cycle through the targets on your screen on, and that will help out, especially with, say, under lurker and the ads there. So you can just concentrate on your particular ad, and if someone else needs help, just turn a little bit and make sure you just tab target straight to there or go straight to it.
Very
Awesome.
nice.
Alright, next, number 5, have Mumble, TeamSpeak and Vent set up on your computer with a headset ready to go. In fact, when you said you are new to the fight, who's that? Jill, could you move the fight?
Okay.
In fact, when you said you are new to the fight, offer that you have the before-mentioned programs and would be willing to join a server if it would help with the explanations. I believe there are still places that offer 5 or 10 slot Mumble servers for free. If you really want to be prepared, you can even offer your own Mumble server, which really aren't that expensive. And yes, have all 3, because those are the common ones.
Yes.
Yes, having a voice program that you can hop into with your raid members is the best, absolutely best way to learn and absolutely best way to explain things. So while you're doing the fight, your group members are very likely not very good at typing and fighting. I've seen a few people who can do this, but for example, I do not type during the fights at all. I can barely manage pressing my 1, 2, 3, 4 keys to shoot the boss. But that means not only can they explain the fight to you beforehand in a way that's more native to most people as talking than having to type it all down, they can also yell at you things during the fight. So for example, hey Joe, move out of the way, you're standing in the red circle. Hey Joe, it's time to switch targets and target the next boss next. Hey Joe, stop attacking, what are you doing? And stuff like that. You
absolutely.
just can't type that in chat. Not to mention, if they do type, the chances of you seeing it is pretty low. And what I say is, don't be shy about hopping into voice chat. You do not have to have a microphone. The most important part, if you're learning, is that you can listen. And guess what? If you don't like what they're saying, or you don't like how they're saying it, or they're being rude, or they're being sexist, or whatever, you don't like it, you can leave. It's okay. You can say, oh, I'm having problems with my earphones. Sorry. Bye. Just don't be shy to join in. It's a lot like going to a party, except you can leave at any time you want. It's awesome.
Also, don't forget about /OA, which is op announcement. So you can just do short, big red text in front of the people's screen. Hopefully they've got them either centralized or even up at the center position. So
Yes,
you can
that's
go-
a great tip for raid leaders, not for people learning.
Yeah, so raid leaders, they need to make sure that they have this when they go, okay, DPS Joe, okay, heal Bob, whatever the case might be. You can just
Save
do-
Bob!
All right. Two things from chat. Firstly, Police recommends the voice program Discord. Apparently its servers are free as a fourth, in addition to
It's very
the
popular
usual
in
three.
Guild Wars 2, I've heard too.
Okay.
Also, are you guys aware that Amazon's web services, you can also install TeamSpeak for free for a year and just pay for the bandwidth over 10 gig per month? So if your bandwidth goes
Wow.
over 10 gig, you just pay for that bit that it's actually over, but you can actually
That's
have
fantastic.
a Teams server
Yeah,
for free.
cool. In theory, you could do all three if they. I'm surprised Mumble hasn't set up something with that, because they could easily port their service to AWS.
That's what we do.
Also, Jessica K says, "Wow, Joe sucks, but Bob is a star. And who is this Joe guy? That was Bill. And why is he so bad?" And Nepthan, "Joe is terrible." Ignacio called him Terry Joe. Nepthan said, "Joe's legacy name is stands in red." Awesome. Thank you, guys. Now, number 6, it's usually best to start rating as a ranged DPS. Ranged DPS is by far the easiest and the one that affects others the least. That being said, if you get a good group that is willing to work with you, then tanking is the hardest and the best way to learn the fights completely.
I
Ain't that
agree.
the
So,
truth?
if
No.
you're a melee player, if you got the lightsabers and you actually hit things with them, the reason it's the most difficult is because there's a lot of damage that goes out around the immediate area of many of the bosses, and it's more difficult to heal through. And you also have less space to play with. So, for example, if you're playing the get out of the red circle game, you have a lot more space to move around when you're a ranged DPS. So, good ranged DPS can be Consular Sage, you can be a Gunslinger, you can be a Commando. There's quite a few classes that are ranged.
Are you primarily a Republic player, AS4, Rista?
I don't know what you're talking about. So what are some good Imperial ones you can be for players who are not familiar?
So Sork, you can be a sniper and also a bounty hunter. So, yeah, Merc.
Yep. Alright, number 7, read up on your class and figure out the best build for your playing style and practice the rotation. If you play more than one character, set your key bindings so that abilities you would use in similar situations are the same key. For example, my interrupt is bind to the same key on every character. That's something
As
we
it is
talked
on
about
mine.
before. Yeah, I know Chill does
And
that
you
for
can
sure.
group up other similar ones, like you can put your break out of a stun key in the same one. You can put
Yeah.
your go fast key in the same place. You can put your guard in the same place. You can put your jump in the same place. A lot of the classes share
Yep.
similar traits.
Yeah, exactly. Get more force or whatever. That
More power!
Reduce heat. Yeah, also the boosts I tend to put on the same spot. My defensive cooldowns I put in the same spots. All that stuff.
It just helps with all that muscle memory that you're going to be doing, that's all. Which is
Yeah.
good.
Number 8, read a guide and watch a few videos of the fights on YouTube or Twitch. If you can find someone recording that is performing the same role as you, even better. Then when you join the group, explain that you are new. Reading the guides and watching videos will help you understand the explanations and have a better chance at success on your first few attempts. The more you know going in, the more likely you are to succeed. You can't know too much unless you forget you are new at this and start telling others how to play. Don't do that. That would be bad juju. Alright, number 9. General rules of raiding. Red things on the ground are almost always bad. Don't stand in them. SWTOR has some circles that are okay to stand in and some that are good to stand in, like AoE healing, for example. I know from years of raiding, if something appears under my feet, I move. If it's good, I can always move back into it. You want to
There is an exception to this rule. Except...
Don't listen to him! There's no exceptions! Get out of it! Get out of it now!
No. DF first... DP first boss. Is it Bestia? Who's the first boss for DP? There is a yellow circle if you're playing pub side. Please don't step inside it. That's the only exception.
Oh, the one that looks like a healing circle.
Yes.
Oh, I hate that
yes. Yeah,
Yes.
Please,
okay.
please don't
I
step
remember
in
that one.
He's talking about my
That
pets
hurts.
are legion.
Yes.
Yes.
Bestia.
Alright. He goes on, you want to annoy your fellow raiders and stand in AoE just taking damage. Yes, that will annoy them. It's the number one complaint you will hear about you raiders and pugs. They just stand there and just tick, tick, tick damage.
There is a saying that goes around for healers, and the saying is, I can't heal stupid. Healers will do their best to keep you alive from damage, but they can't heal you if you kill yourself.
Right. Number 10, unless told otherwise, it's usually good to spread out in cases of boss having targeted area effect abilities. You usually want to stand to the side and back of the bosses. If the boss has conal attacks, usually they are front conals, which so that hitting the tank, not the group, but I've seen ones that hit the back of the boss. Can't think of any side ones off the top of my head. These are just general guidelines. I've seen fights where you need to stack up behind the boss or in front of the boss, often for healing. If the group is together, the AoE heals. Not always, but sometimes it's necessary. Or you are asked to group up and then spread out again. I would follow before mentioned guidelines unless the fight calls for something different, which should be in the explanation. I want to point out, spreading out in SWTOR isn't always the best to do because of AoE healing, but if you're taking a lot of damage as a DPS, you most likely are already in trouble.
And this is especially a thing that helps when you're in voice chat. So, for example, Joe, you're too close to the boss. Can you get behind him? Joe, get behind the boss. And everybody spread out. There's damage going out. Or everybody group up. I need to AoE heal. This can be really helpful to be able to just hear that and do it.
That's especially helpful for the Zeus boss. What's it called?
The Monolith.
Monolith, yes.
Colossal
yes,
Monolith.
Yeah.
Number 11, listen to which tank will be tanking what mobs. If for some reason a mob is attacking you, first hit your D-taunt, that is the thing that drops threat, then walk the mob to the tank that is supposed to be tanking it. You might also want to switch to attacking another mob if that mob isn't already dead. The switching off the mob depends on the situation. I should also mention in passing the reason the referring to mobs, it's something we do without thinking in MMOs. Mobs is short for mobiles and refers to effectively any NPC, which is controlled by the game rather than another player. So mob is a monster or NPC, or really it's mobile. Mob, mobile.
Yep. And a lot of times it's sort of used as the not so much in the case of this one, but a lot of people will use it to refer to anything that's not the boss. In other words, all the ads, all the anything else that appears.
Yeah, I remember talking about that in a terminology episode a while ago. I should remember some original MUD code where they actually called the mobiles in the code, and clearly it's been shortened to mobs over time.
Right.
Anyway, number 12, read all your abilities. In case your class has abilities, there might be something you never use that might be handy in raids. This is especially true with debuffs and crowd control abilities. Know their duration and know their cooldowns. If you seem to be knowledgeable about your class and willing to learn from mistakes, most raid groups will want to work with you and help you. Yes, generally.
I love this tip of going through your abilities because, for example, we mentioned a debuff in the last tip, and you're like, what? Or not a debuff, a detaunt. And you're like, what's a detaunt? And you find this random ability that says, oh, things will stop attacking me if I use this. You might want to put that on your bar. And, for example, there's other fights where if you attack something other than what you're immediately attacking, it will cause bad things to happen. So you want to make sure you're not using any area effect attacks. You want to use only single target attacks. It's hard to know some of those abilities, what they do, because the animation looks like it's only hitting one thing, but it hits everything around it too.
Also, just for everyone who else is listening, for a new player, when we talk about detaunt, we're talking about actually reducing your threat level. So it might be, the raid leader might say, drop your threat. So that's what we mean by detaunting.
Alright, number 13, admit your mistakes and listen. It's amazing how understanding people can be if you admit your mistakes and listen. This is especially true of progression raiders. Every progression raider knows that most fights take a few times to figure out. And yes, if you just pretend that everything's fine, that's not going to win you any friends. Fess up and get better. Number 14, healers remember unless given a... Number 14, healers. Remember, unless given a healing assignment.
Something's missing there.
Ignore the period. The tank's most important.
Yeah.
Healers,
like remember, unless you're giving a specific healing assignment, as in who to heal, the tank is the most important person to heal, and then other healers, and finally DPS are the least important. Tank goes down, everyone dies. Healer goes down, the tank usually goes down, and then everyone dies. DPS goes down, the fight just takes a bit longer. And you only die for the DPS race. The resurrection order, the res order, I would say healer, then tank, but if the tank goes down, the raid usually wipes quickly. And usually the raid leader will decide what the res order is, and usually you should wait for your raid leader to call the res, unless it's been prearranged that if X goes down, bring them up. Don't just res someone by off your own bat. necessarily.
And with that tip, if you die, first thing is, if you die, don't return to Med Center. Just stay dead until the whole
God,
group dies,
yes.
okay? Don't go to Med Center or you'll lose any possibility of getting any loot if they complete it without you. Second
Yes.
is, if you are a DPS, you're not the tank and you're not the healer and you're dead. And you're like, why isn't anyone getting me up? Why am I just sitting here dead? The reason is because the healers are saving their res for the tank or for the other healer. It's not because they don't like you. It's because they're making sure the group can still succeed as a whole.
Exactly. Number 15, probably one of the most important. If not a group, find a group. Ask what the loot rules are. Respect them, even if you don't get to roll on the gear you need right away. You will gain experience and crystals. You might also find a regular raid group who will then make sure you get that gear. So if you plug into a group, they may have already got their loot rules sorted out. They're probably using something complex like Suicide Kings, not that we ever bothered in our group. But yeah, just to keep things organised, it's often loot rules are used just to keep everything fair.
I believe
So,
the most
yeah.
popular way these days is making everyone a lieutenant, and then once you've got your piece of loot, then you de-lieutenant them. I believe that's what's happening at the moment in pub groups.
Oh, cool.
Yep.
All right. Number 16, relax, you will wipe unless you have a group that is dragging you along and they have it on farm. If you don't count world first and server first guilds anyway. Progression guilds might wipe more than non-progression guilds. That is how progression is made. Rating boils down to a quote by Samuel Beckett. Ever tried, ever failed, no matter. Try again, fail better. The main difference I have noticed about progression guilds compared to casual, besides playing time, is they wipe and go again, and keep wiping until they beat it. You can fight the same boss for what seems like years. Originally I wrote hours, but I realise I have fought a single boss for hours more than I care to admit. I can remember one DPS race in Warhammer that we did so many times. When we finally beat it, I have no memory of the fight we beat it on. I'm pretty sure I was sleeping during the fight, but my fingers must still have been hitting the buttons, because if they weren't, we wouldn't have beat the boss. So true, and it is so, as we've talked about in the show before, so incredibly satisfying to take down a difficult boss when you do finally do it. And the only way to get there is to try and try and try again.
Yes.
And at the same time, what tolerance, how long you want to do raids for, how long you want to bang your head against the boss is up to you. Make sure when you're going in, ask how long is this raid expected to take. If you're joining a pickup group, or if you're joining with a guild, they usually have a timer already set. If it's not something that you want to be working on for the next 3 hours, maybe step out for that one. If you do want to work on it for 3 hours, make sure you're available for that entire time. Go get some drinks and some cookies and sit down and raid.
Saying that on the same premise, what particular boss fight was your most accomplished feeling that you got through for you three?
No.
Do you remember?
Thinking.
In SWTOR?
Can't bring a question on that like me.
SWTOR?
Yeah, in SWTOR, yeah.
I can't remember any others before SWTOR.
My personal one would probably be Torque. It's not a specifically hard fight, but I had a lot of problems with it myself, and I was really dragging down my raid group for it because I was the tank, and I was having a very difficult time learning the dance, and the fire was always in the way. I could never get out of it. I'd get knocked into fire and die. I couldn't see because my camera kept getting stuck in the ceiling, and I never knew what was going on. And once I finally got it, it just felt like it was just right, and every time after that I could do it perfectly. It was just so nice to feel like everything everyone had taught me was actually working, and it wasn't just a waste of time.
What's yours, Jeremy?
Mine would actually have to be EC tanks. Oh my god.
Oh.
I was just going to say the same one.
I
That was
don't
going to be
know.
mine, too.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, Jill. Sorry.
No, it's fine.
I don't know how many times I've heard the words "all too easy" over and over and over again. Oh my god, it was just yes. When we bet it for the first time on hard mode, it was like yes, the greatest feeling ever. And then we continued to wipe on the general.
And what did you feel your group had difficulties with? Was it you couldn't find the right strategy, or just couldn't get your strategy right?
It was a mix of we didn't have enough DPS, but also we had a DPS who used to take a lot of the threat, and that would cause hassle for us healers. So we're trying to overheal someone who.
Darn it, Joe!
Exactly. Trying to heal someone who we shouldn't have to heal because the tanks are taking so much damage in the first part. Yeah, so it was just one of those things where we had to tell him, don't go hell for leather at the start, you know. And 100 pulls down the track, hey, we got it down.
All right, I'm just going to read the last one and then we're finished because we are running way long and I've got to edit this stuff. All right, last one. Tip 17. This is most important. Don't let others ruin your fun. There will be people who rage and quit or kick you. You'll have a good chance someone will call you a noob, idiot, or some other colourful name. I can say I've been probably called almost everything at some point. One of my best rewards come in my worst groups. It was in WoW's Scarlet Monastery. I was a DPS and there was one tank, a healer, and a father and son, I believe, who were also DPSing. Well, about halfway through, the father and son went off about how bad the tank and how the son could do better. The son ended up dueling the tank in the middle of the instance. I spent that time talking to the healer. I ended up joining the guild she was in later on and we became friends, even meeting in person. Also had a pocket healer for leveling and group content for many years. So anyway, that's a great story, but the point is, yeah, just sometimes it's going to be rough, but not always, and you will have some great experiences.
And if people are mean, you don't have to stay. It's okay. You can dibs out. Or you can say to the people who are being nice, hey, you want to ditch this Joe guy? He's so rude. Let's go make our own op. It's okay. It's a game. Have fun.
All right, thank you very much, Ewan, for sending all that in. It does seem a little ironic to be talking about how to do well as a raider at the moment, but there is, if you're new to it, still a ton of content in SWTOR. So many raids to experience, and a lot of them are extremely cool. So if this helps you get going, why not? Anyway.
All right, then that's a show. If you'd like to play with us in the Utini Knights Guild on the Republic side of the Harbinger server, or in our Guild on the Empire side, do a /c join Utini to join the Utini channel. Then let us know you're a fan of the show. You can email questions and comments about the show to OotiniCast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter using @OotiniCast. You can find contact details for all of us on our website, OotiniCast.com, which includes how to subscribe to us using iTunes, Stitcher, and the rest. We record the show live every Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. Pacific. Go to OotiniCast.com/live to find out how to join in. Our theme song is from Mevio's Music Alley. Check it out at music.mevio.com. That's MEVIO. And thank you to the chat room, and thank you to Jeremy and SWTORista.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody.
And we'll see you next week.
All right, guys, keep recording, and thank you, chat room. That was
I'm still laughing about all the comments about Joe.
Poor Joe. Yeah. All right. Thank you, everyone. Next week, episode 250. Nothing special, and yeah, we'll be back. And I think Deck and Fee, apparently you're being talked into being on the show, or so I'm told.
Oh, cool.
Anyway, well, hopefully that will work out. And Deck will tell us a bit more about some events, some co-guild events with us and the Passionately Casual guys as well. So more about that next week. Thank you again, and have a great week, everyone. Stopping the stream and stopping the hangout. See ya.
Bye. See